Good evening, Internet. The name's Bond, Michael Bond, and it's that time again for my James Bond Extravaganza. This time we'll be reviewing Goldfinger. This is the third James Bond movie and the first one to really introduce all the Bond gadgets. So I will do that first. First of all, in the beginning of the movie, James Bond is in a scuba suit and he's swimming up to some nefarious place. The internet says it's like a drug factory, but they never really stated what it was. But anyway, when he's swimming, he's wearing this helmet that has like a duck on it for camouflage. It's kind of silly. But anyway, after that, he uses a grappling hook gun, which was pretty cool. He also has like a big tube that he kind of wears as a belt that's full of plastic explosive, and he has a time charger for it. That's what he uses to blow up the drug lab. Also, he does the quintessential scene where he takes off the scuba suit and he's wearing a tux underneath. That was pretty cool. We also get the first time we get to see the Q branch. It's where he goes into the laboratory and you see all the crazy stuff happen in the background. In this movie, there's a parking meter that like distributes knockout gas, and they shoot a guy in the chest, and it turns out he's wearing a bulletproof vest. The main device that James Bond has in the film is he has this tracking device. It's about the size of a pack of cigarettes, and there's a big one that he can magnetically stick to a car, and then there's a smaller one that he can fit in the heel of a shoe, and those are pretty important throughout the movie. They use it in key scenes. The main other thing is the car. He asks where his Bentley is, and they tell him, oh, that's not good enough for you anymore. So they give him an Aston Martin DB5. It's a really cool looking car, and it just has tons and tons of spy gizmos in it. First of all the glass is bulletproof, so, get shot, no problem. There's some defensive mechanisms. It has an oil slick, a smoke screen, has a couple of machine guns under the headlights, and he uses all of this in this one pretty good chase scene. The other thing is that the car also has a bulletproof like shield that raises up from the trunk that provides him a bit of cover when he's in a gunfight. And the other thing, and this is actually a really good scene, Q tells him not to press the red button. He asks what the red button does, and it's like, well, the top will fly off and the passenger ejection seat hat goes off. And James Bond says, are you kidding? He says, nope. And he actually uses it. He's being held hostage, being forced to drive, and at one point he does push the red button, and it shoots the guy with the gun out of the car. It is a really good scene. That's most of the the Bond gadgets that he has. The villain has like some stuff. I'll get into that. Then there's the Bond girls. There's the Jill Masterson character. It's the one he meets in the very beginning of the movie when he's staking out Goldfinger, and she's the one that's really famous for being painted over in gold and dying. She has a sister that shows up briefly. She gets killed by the henchmen. But the main one, of course, is Pussy Galore, the best named Bond girl ever. It's just hilarious. Pussy Galore is a pilot that works for Goldfinger, and eventually James Bond uses his James Bond charm and sex appeal to bring her over to the good side. That's really the only reason they win, the good guys. Now, James Bond, again, is played by Sean Connery. He does a really good role. He's pretty much perfected it at this point. Does really good action scenes. He does a really good charming, spy. Does some... he's just a really good actor. Also, this movie has several one-liners that are pretty good. In the very beginning, he electrocutes a guy in a bathtub that was going to shoot him, and after he dies, he says it's shocking. It is quite funny. Now, on to the plot of the movie. This has to do with the villain, and I'll get into the villain and the henchmen because they take it to a new level in this movie. But the plot is that Auric Goldfinger, that's the main bad guy, he's suspected of smuggling gold. So the British government has Bond go after him and try to find proof that he's smuggling gold. During the course of this, Bond finds out, gets captured, and taken to the U.S., and he finds out that actually the plan is to rob Fort Knox. Or at least that's what it starts out as, but actually the plan is to nuke Fort Knox. He wants to nuke Fort Knox with a very radioactive bomb, making the U.S. gold supply pretty much you can't use it, so that the West will fall into chaos, and his Goldfinger's gold, he has a large stockpile of it, will increase in value like tenfold. He's also working with the Chinese, and the Chinese really want that they're the ones that give him the nuke, and they want to basically, set up the economic chaos for the West. Now I'm gonna get into the villains. Goldfinger is an evil, evil bastard. When it starts off, he just seems to be like a rich businessman who really doesn't like to lose. In the very beginning of the movie, he's playing gin with some other rich guy, and he's basically cheating. He has Jill Masterson, the girl that gets painted over in gold. She's like using a telescope to radio into him through a fake hearing aid what the guy's playing. And then James Bond interrupts it and makes him lose, which turns out is a really bad idea for Goldfinger because he hates to lose. And he sends his henchmen to go knock out James Bond and kill the girl by painting her over in gold. That, of course, really pisses off James Bond. And anyway, Goldfinger is, I guess, a sociopath. I don't know if that's a proper word or not, but he doesn't care about anybody but himself. For his plan, if it had been successful, he was going to release toxic nerve gas over all of Fort Knox and the surrounding area, and it would have killed about 60,000 people. And when James Bond brings this up, he just casually mentions, oh, well, about that many people die every couple of years on the highways. I mean, he's just a cold-hearted bastard. There's some other parts where to initiate his plan, he gets a bunch of like underworld mob types to smuggle a bunch of stuff, and he sells them a song and dance about how he's going to rob Fort Knox. And then afterwards, he leaves the room and he gasses them all with the nerve gas, and just very casual about it. And another thing is that there's another guy who leaves the meeting because he doesn't want to be part of it, and Goldfinger just has him killed by Oddjob. That's the henchman. I'll get into him next. Goldfinger also, his main criminal enterprise before the giant gonna rob Fort Knox / nuke it was he smuggled gold by melting it down and putting it into his car, because he kept making travels all over the place and he always showed his car. So that was kind of neat. But man, Goldfinger was just an evil, evil bastard. Even when their plan goes south in the end to nuke Fort Knox, he rips off his clothes and he rips off the top layer of his clothes and he has an army uniform underneath, casually walks out, shoots his Chinese spy compatriot, and walks away. He was pretty smooth about it, but he got his just desserts in the end because he dies by being sucked out of a plane due to explosive decompression. It was quite satisfying to see that happen. Now to my favorite villain character of the movie, though, Oddjob. Oddjob is just awesome. He's played by this Harold Sakata. He was like a professional wrestler, martial arts, and an Olympian weightlifter, and he's just really, really cool. In the movie, he's the Korean guy. He's dressed up like a butler, and he is just a very brutal and very charming person. And he's also he's just really, really cool. He does his job very well and very efficiently. When he's told to kill the girl, he kills the girl very quietly. You find out he's the guy with the hat. He throws the hat. It has like a razor ring around it, and it cuts the head off a statue. He kills the next girl with it. They don't show any blood or anything, so it's kind of hard to tell that she's dead. But she never shows up again, so you can assume he kills her with it. And oh yeah, when the mobster that he kills, he drives him in a limo, tells him he's going to the or he's mute. He's supposed to be mute, but he says "ah" and "aha" a lot. But he drives the guy. He's supposed to be going to the airport, but he doesn't. He just goes off a road, casually stops, turns around, shoots the guy in the chest with a silenced pistol. Then he drives it to a junkyard. The car's crushed, Then he drives a pickup truck, puts the crushed car in the pickup truck, and drives it back to Goldfinger. And then Goldfinger had paid the guy in gold, so he melts down the car to get this gold back. And then there's a climactic battle in the giant vault of Fort Knox, while the nuclear bomb is having a countdown timer between James Bond and Oddjob. And Oddjob's just really, really strong and totally outmatches James Bond. James Bond ends up winning by basically tricking him. He was just really, really cool. I can't emphasize enough. Anyway, this is like the quintessential Bond film. It's got a great villain, a great crazy, take over the world plot sort of thing, and a really good henchman. I'll give this movie a definite 5, and I highly, highly recommend you watch it. Anyway, that's all I have for this time, and stay tuned for next time.